Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is podcast. I'm your host, Cody Kelly. I almost forgot my name right there. I appreciate my audience. I appreciate my subscribers. I appreciate you listening in. We are back with an amazing episode featuring an amazing influencer, leader, strategist, all-around cool guy, Phil. He's going to talk about who he is, what he does. We're going to get into it. But if you want to keep seeing amazing content like this, if you want to keep helping me pay the bills, this is what you have to do. You got to subscribe to my YouTube page at YouTube at CV Space K at the link below. And you got to follow me on Instagram. My favorite platform is CVMK33. I almost forgot my handle. I don't know what's going on today. But before we get into it, I first want to thank my guests. Look, first of all, any real podcasters, anybody that's really out there in the media space, nobody has to say yes to you. You know, when you throw that net out, you'd be surprised how few fish you catch. So I asked, he acquiesced, and now he's here. With that being said, Phil, how you doing today?
I am doing so awesome, Cody. Thank you so much for inviting me. Whenever I get an invite for a podcast, I have to say yes because I have the moniker Podcast Mogul, and you can't really be a podcast mogul if you don't go on shows. You can have as many podcasts as you want, but no one's going to hear you, and they'll be like, yeah, okay, you have 15 shows, but how many shows have you been on? Mm-hmm. And so I love whenever someone says, I see looking for a guest, being a guest, anything related to having someone on your podcast, I'm like, yes, 100%. And then when I get on it, this is the flip side. This is how you get guests. If you're a podcaster and you're not sure, you go, Cody, I'm going to be recording season 5 of my prime podcast, Invest in Yourself, the digital entrepreneur podcast. You're coming on. End of discussion. So I already got it. Boom. I got my first guest for season 5 lined up and ready. I'll send you the all the info on that. We only record next month for an October rollout, but one of the things I've learned from my podcasting world, and I want to teach everybody, pre-record your shit. Yes. I don't know if we're allowed to swear, but I can say it. Okay, go. I should have asked before. Pre-record as much as you can. So I started podcasting 6 years ago. I started with my first show, the Phil Better Show. I was a narcissist. It's a movie TV review show all about me, and it evolved. It started off as, hey, I love podcasts. I love movies. I want to interview people who love movies too. Now it's just me and my co-hosts. We review movies and we talk about the entertainment industry. So that's evolved, and you allow your podcast to evolve. Right. And I feel like I'm going to be just stealing this whole episode. I feel sorry. I have a problem. I can't shut up. Okay. Then I have my Invest in Yourself, the digital entrepreneur podcast, where I interview entrepreneurs in this space. Because I've Invest in Yourself, I have Stock Dirty to Me, I have Better Pain, and I just launched a new podcast specifically about podcasting. I'm showing my process because I've gotten a lot of friends who can't afford me to be like, Phil, can you help me out? I'm like, yeah, I'll make a podcast series. But also it adds so I can refine my process as well, and I'm seeing myself refine my process. And so, yeah, I reorganized my whole life, got them all done specifically so that it's easy for me to just like with Google, I jump on, I open Chrome, and then I go, today I'm working on this podcast. And I just open up and it's logged into everything like that. Mm-hmm. And it's easier for me to handle stuff and figure stuff out to make life really easy for me. So that's my biggest tip, organization. Like if you don't know how to organize, find someone who's organized and have them teach you, because if not, your life is going to be hell.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think it's a great segue. You know, we talk about, you talk about the digital entrepreneur and the kind of diversification in your product development. How do you define success? So, because, I've seen good and bad. I've seen both extremes of podcasting. I've seen podcasting that to me was like a cry for help, and it's like, oh my God, is this person okay? And then I've seen podcasting where it's like, that's a little dark. I don't know if I've been, like I've seen podcasting that's just, and I think there are influencers, there are voices that just want to be heard. So then you get the podcasters that are looking for the shock value, right? And it's like, if I can say the most, cruel, whatever, that's going to get me 1 million followers. But how do you define it, right? You've been in this thing for now years. The ability to continue is because you found something that has worked and it keeps motivating you to do it. What is that thing?
I'm stubborn. So having interviewed hundreds probably of podcasters, entrepreneurs, or been on hundreds of podcasts and talked with hundreds of podcasters, the big thing is consistency. If you are not consistent with your product, you're not going to get success. So it's simple as that. It's just like if Nike gave up after its like first failure, or Henry Ford, it took him, I don't know what letter the T is, but it took him all the way to letter T to figure out how to make a car work, and then he just times X'd it. What you have to do is you have to find your niche. You have to dig down, straight down to the smallest niche you can, without going to the one person. Because I look at life very simply. There's 7 billion people out here. We're right now representing, each of us, 1 billion people in some capacity. I could be like 1 billion white people that look exactly like me, and you could be 1 billion, African-American people looking like you, or your job. There's at least 1 billion people who have somewhat similar jobs as both of us, and so on and so forth. So we represent a specific billion people. That's our demographic. That's how I look at it. Each person represents at least 1 billion people. There's something inside you that is similar to 1 billion other people. So if your podcast, if you niche down too small, you're going to lose that 1 billion people. But if you niche down to the right level, like I niche down to entrepreneurs because I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but not everybody can because they don't have that consistency. So I asked them, like, one of my questions I ask is, what's your level of success? What is success to you? And like, I don't care if it's personal, business, and all this. And everybody just has given different answers. And for me, my success is if I can get one person to listen to my podcast, I'm happy. I have someone listening to me, and I'm not talking my mother, my father. I'm talking an actual unknown stranger. And surprisingly, like I look at my stuff and my stats, and they're going up daily, and I'm like, yay, more people are listening to me. I'm not talking to a void. But for some of my clients, they're different needs. So I have my millionaire client, Lloyd Ross, money mentor. This guy is like the new age Robert Kiyosaki. He literally, so he's very smart. Like he has like, I think 3 degrees. He's a lawyer. I think he has something medical. I don't know. This guy just like loves school for some reason. Yeah. And he got this. He moved to the Middle East in Dubai, worked for a major law firm there doing real estate, but saved every single cent. Now imagine trying to save money in Dubai, like one of the richest places. He ran the same car. He rented the same car or leased the same car, ran it into the ground to save money. He lived with 4 guys just to save money. And then after a few years, he was able to quit, go back home with his wife, start a side hustle business in network marketing because he was already investing money in the stock market for his passive income. Then he started this network marketing company that grew, and he makes money from. Yeah. Then now he's teaching people how to do it. And then he wanted to do a podcast. He's also an author on top of it, teaching people. That's why he's like Robert Kiyosaki. His book, Money Grows on Trees, teaches you how to plant your own money tree. And now he has a podcast, Money Grows on Trees, the podcast that I produce for him, that is already number 9 on the Australian how-to all-time charts. Wow. And it was launched in March. This podcast was launched in March, July. It's already, within 2 months, it was already in the top 10 in Australia. It's top 10 in New Zealand, top 10 in Iceland. And I believe we're in Korea. Somehow we got Korea. I don't know how we got into the top 10 in Korea, but he's top 10 in Korea. And for him, he's like, holy shit, this is amazing. He's getting on some huge podcasts in the network marketing world. and he's talking with these, and he's introduced me into a lot of guys that became clients of mine, one way or another. And then you have, so his success is like, he gets excited because he's like, yeah, I'm getting more people into it. And I can't announce how much money he's made since January to 9, but I can tell you it is 6 figures.
Sure.
So with the added benefit of his podcast, all his streams of income, just in the first 6 months, pretty much he's made 6 figures. And that's insane to me, because I'm like, but that's just the funnel that he has for his courses, his book, and his podcast. That's not including his investments, his business, and the other things he has. That's just from getting people into his funnel, his sales funnel. And so the podcast is helping that, because it's developing his brand authority, because other people can listen to his podcast and goes, oh, wow, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. And like, I'm secretly like, he charges like a lot of money for his time. And I'm sitting here with 30-minute episodes, or we just launched Millionaire Question, or Ask a Millionaire Question. He does this monthly. He does a Zoom call for his group, like his tribe, if you will. And he records it, he sends it to me, and everybody asks a question. And I just literally sit there for an hour listening to this, clipping out the questions, putting them up into it. So I get paid. He's paying me to learn from him, which I'm like, yay, free money, because he's printing money because he's planted his tree. Then you have so like, he is like, I consider him, if we're looking at the rich dad, poor dad thing, he's like my rich uncle or rich cousin, right? I landed another client who has been in the digital marketing world for 26 years. And I landed him as a guest. So I use my podcast as a lead generator. So instead of me spending money on ads and spending stuff on this, I go after entrepreneurs and different businesses, get them on my podcast, and then I'm like, hey, interview goes great because I'm an awesome guy, right? We're already having fun. You're like, teach me, sensei, teach me. I can see it in your eyes, like riveted by this. At least I hope, or I'm just talking into a void again. But yeah, so he came on my podcast, we talked, and I was just blown away by this guy, because he's been in the industry 26 years. His first website he built was for artists to sell their artwork online. Was bought by a major art block, like a major art auctioning block, or I don't know what the proper term is. Made some other businesses. If I'm not mistaken, so far he's made 4 businesses. He's launched 4 businesses, exited successfully out of 3, 1 failure. Oh no. 25% failure rate? I think not.
Right.
He lived in LA. He's moved back to his home country of France. Okay. Started the largest rural incubator in the world in this small town of Sarla. Last year, ended up buying the town's rugby team, because he was already a sponsor, right. And they're like, hey, COVID hit, everything kind of like the world stopped, and everybody was like, well, fuck, So the team guys came over to him like, hey, do you want to take a bigger role in being a sponsor? And he's like, let me think about it. He's a businessman, right? Because he's like, if I put sponsorship, I don't know if I'm going to get anything back this year. So he's like, you know what? Thought about it, came back. He's like, this is what I propose. I'm buying the team. I'm going to handle everything. So he bought I don't know, community stuff. I don't know. He bought it, revamped the team. It's now Sarla Rugby. It went from 1,000 fans on Facebook to today, I think it's over 200,000 fans. He has created a business out of it because he's monetized his sports team. This is an amateur team. Do you know how many amateur teams are in the world? Just in rugby alone, it's like 10,000, maybe more. He's created a business around it to help teams monetize their fan base, monetize their team. So he can go to these. He's already has European soccer clubs, so football teams, coming and contacting him, other rugby teams coming and contacting to help them. So he's pretty much tokenizing the audience to make them help bring revenue into the to the sports team, so that they don't have to rely just on ticket sales and concessions. He's increasing the tourist rate of this small little community by building this amazing rugby team. And so like I look at him as my rich dad because he's like teaching me so much because I get to interact with this guy who has multiple businesses, done multiple things, and this guy is just like revolutionizing another industry. So for me, it was like, oh my God. And it was an amazing opportunity to work with him. And then we were just before I jumped on here, I was on a call with one of my clients down in Tampa who, we can officially announce this. It's called NSPN, the Next Gen Sports Network, an amazing network, a new network of sports media that's coming out that follows most of the teams in Tampa, and it's Tampa based. But we just signed Vigilante MMA LLC, I think that's the name of the brand. But we're also in talks with another pro football league to have them sign and us be their main media people. I have to double check how's that going. I was the main contact there, but I can't really announce it, but we have a big title, kind of a big celebrity fight for the thing. And I think we're doing it in September. I'm not sure, but we're also repping a celebrity for his sports appearances and all that. And it's like so many big things are coming, and success just means different things. For me, it's podcasting. Like, can I podcast more? Yes. Awesome. And I get paid to podcast, even better, but for my clients, it's like, what is your goal? What is your level? What do you want this to come from? Like, I'm teaching a friend of mine how to create a podcast that generates leads for you, but also because he's a podcaster, he loves podcasting just as much as I do. And he's like, how do I get paid like you? And I'm like, this is how. And I'm showing him, and I'm literally building it for him. And then I'm like, let's go. And we'll just build off that. And for me, I see success. When I see someone else have a success, I'm like, I help that. That's a bit of my success as well. So I get happy. I get excited. I don't even care about my successes. Other people's successes. When I see someone else that I helped have a success, I'm like, yeah. That's right. Yeah. So I usually give out 30 minutes of my time for free to people. I usually charge about $100 an hour. For like helping with podcasting and all that.
I appreciate you giving out your time for free to me.
Look, I have no problem. Like, if you like, Phil, I need help on how to build my podcast, I'll be like, you need this, and this, and I'll be more than happy to show you. And boom, we're done. Because that's what I like for fellow podcasters. When you invite me, you're giving me access to your audience. So one way I can pay you back is, hey, come to my podcast and we can talk about one of my many podcasts and we can talk about that. Or it's, hey, giving me 30 minutes of your time, an hour of your time. I love it. Here, whenever you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them and help you grow your podcast. Because me being on this show, if your podcast blows up, someone listens back to the episode with the podcast, Mogul, I'm like, oh shit, this guy knows his podcasting. They may reach out to me, and then I got a potential client. So for me, spending an hour or 30 minutes talking with you about how much I love this craft and this passion I have for podcasting just means I'm having access to your audience. So I don't know how big your audience, I don't care, because I'm more invested in the future. This for me is an investment. Like my podcast, Stock Dirty to Me, we go live to 50,000 members of a private Facebook group for investors. Yeah. We break down 3 stocks a week that the audience vote, our group votes on. And I have licensed professionals and an economist who's super smart. I'm the one who doesn't know anything about stocks. Yeah. The only thing I know about stocks is buy low, sell high. That's what I was brought up with. And that's pretty much everybody's knowledge. But here I am, I'm in front of 50,000 people going, and now we're going to talk about, Netflix. Tony's the co-host. He does all the talking. Then I'm like, okay, Dalt, do you have anything? And Dalt's the licensed professional. He talks, and I'm just there looking pretty. Yeah. But I have access to these 50,000 people who are watching. I'm using this as a case study so that I can go to other Facebook groups and go, look at what we did with this. And then they can pay me, and I have another course. So everything I'm doing, every podcast I do, every connection I make, it's a potential for me to learn, but also to sell it to teach someone else.
It's true. It's true.
So like my wrestling podcast, that's the Better Pain podcast. I love wrestling. I'm a kid of the 90s, Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? The Rock. all the greats,
Mankind, Shawn Michaels. I'm very familiar with the golden era of wrestling, which was the 90s, the Attitude Era.
Well, it's not considered the golden era, because if you want the golden era, you have the 80s that are apparently the golden era. We got the Attitude Era. I think was the better era. Then you got the PG, and now we don't know what we're in. You got AEW coming in, but so through the Better Pain podcast, I've been able to connect with local Montreal, because I'm in Montreal. Wrestling, not wrestling companies, and we're working on something there. My big goal, like I'll never be a wrestler. I'll never fit the build of a wrestler. I can be a manager 100% because I got the mouth of the not mouth of the South, but I'm the mouth of the North. Here we go. I've always wanted to be put through a table.
Yes, it'd be power bombed,
choke slammed. I don't pump handle slam. I don't care. You throw me. I just want to be.
Oh my god!
Like that's how.
The Dudley Boys are probably like the best at just putting people through tables.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like my goal would, like, if I could have Devon and Bubba Ray put me through a table by a 3D. God strike me down, I'm dead happy, or have a ladder match with the Hardy Boys, because geez. But yeah, so the Better Pain, we're in talks there, but it's also helping my connection down in Tampa, because I can get wrestlers. Like, the more connection I have to wrestlers, to MMA, through these people, I can bring them down there, and we can get some vigilante MMA and all that stuff. So like, each one of my podcasts, they bring something to me, but also I can end up giving to someone else. So the connections I made with my Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur podcast, I've been able to connect some of my friends with these high level entrepreneurs, people that are earning 6, 7, 8 figures, that generally are harder to get on to podcasts. But because I already have that thing, they go, "Hey Phil, I'm looking for an expert in this." I go, "I got you." I go through my Rolodex, send it. I go, "Hey, I have a friend, a fellow podcaster. They're looking to interview people with this. I know you were a guest on my show. Would it be okay if I connected you with them?" More than not, they say yes. But no one's going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. No one's going to give you money if you haven't already paid the money yourself to yourself. And if you believe in yourself enough and you've invested the time, the energy into yourself, then people are going to believe in you. And I didn't really believe that thought pattern that much, even when I started investing in yourself, because I was like, it's nice, it's catchy, I'm taking the time to invest in myself, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was kind of like catchy, but at the same time, I was walking daily. I had just gotten over a burnout, and I was trying to reinvent myself. And I always heard, like, you have to invest in yourself. Like, you can't go out to someone and go, "Hi, Cody, give me $100,000. You're gonna be like, "Who are you?" Who are you? And then, but if I come over to you and I go, "Cody, I can take that 100K, put it into the podcasting, and make you X number of that," you'll be like, "Huh." And then I go, "This is how I did it." And then I show you my process, and then you'll be like, "Here's the check, here's the money." I've interviewed 100 entrepreneurs by now. They have all said the same thing. If you don't risk it and you don't take the time to invest in yourself, you're not going to make it. So I've just been like, you know what? I'm going to just brand myself. Invest in Yourself is my brand now, because I have this podcast. I have a second podcast going. I'm going to have a third podcast going under the brand.
You talked about all that's going on in your world and in your universe. I think there's something that connects us all.
Ooh.
Everybody hits a wall.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody hits a low point in life. I don't care who you are, where you feel like, what the heck am I doing this for? Right? Like, why am I still working after work, trying to reach out, getting email addresses, why am I consuming myself with something that hasn't quote unquote paid off, right? Mm-hmm. If somebody's out there listening and they say, I feel like quitting, right? Like, I'm in my Don't Quit series, right? If I feel like quitting, my last question, what would you tell that individual?
Well, look, life is fucking hard. Plain and simple. If it was easy, we would all be sitting our asses, rich with a model-esque partner.
Right.
And we would have the body of a god. If life was easy. If life was fair, life was easy. But no one got anywhere without friggin' hard work. There's 0 people in this world that got anywhere important without hard work. If you look at, there's a musician I love called Dax. He's a Canadian, but he's Canadian American. He's an amazing guy, but he put himself through college or university by being a janitor.
Oh, wow. And
now his videos on YouTube, he's a rapper, get close to 10 million views. It's amazing. But he was made fun of because he was a janitor. Mm-hmm. If he quit, he wouldn't have 10 million views, wouldn't be one of the most successful independent artists in the world. Mm-hmm. So that's like, if he quit, what's your goal? Like, if you don't have a goal that you've written down that you want, if you're just like, oh, I just want to be successful, just like that, without actually saying, I have a goal. I want to make 100K a year. That's my goal. Once I reach 100K, woo, we're good. If I make 70K, I'll be happy. Like, I'm not going to complain. But 100K is where my goal is. That for me is I've reached a level of success that I'm happy with, Mm-hmm. And I can live my life on 100K, relatively comfortable, and have money left over to spend. So 100K, that's what I want to know. That's my level of success. And then just work backwards. How do you make that? Just have a company. Okay. What kind of company? What are you passionate about? Just keep working backwards until you find the starting point that you can start with. I wanted to make 100K. I'm like, okay, podcasting. I know a lot about podcasting. I've been in the industry podcasting. Boom, boom, boom. It's just stop, sit down. If you're at that point where I just want to quit and you're yelling and you're angry all the time, sit down and go, what is it that I want? And when you can answer that question, you'll never have that quit moment in your life. You'll come in, you'll be like, oh, you're here again. There's the door. Goodbye. And just continue on. Because you're going to, no matter what, everybody's had low points. I've had millionaires who've had low points. I've had billionaires that have low points. Like everybody, you can read about people's low points all over the internet.
Sure.
Forget about hearing about their successes. No one is an overnight success. There's 0 overnight success unless you win the lotto. But even then, you've been playing the lotto for how long?
Right.
You're not overnight. I've been in this industry 6 years and only now this year making money. A lot of businesses don't make money until the first 5 years are up. Some businesses, they have great businesses and that. But if you want to be good at anything, it's going to take you time. You have to work on it every single day. Before I launched my company, I was doing this podcast. I would be working 9 to 5. At 5:30, I would usually have, for 2 weeks, I would have about 4 interviews from 5:30 till about 10. 4 to 5 interviews with only like 10 minutes between. So I could change the shirt, wipe down the sweat, refill my glass of water, and then I'm jumping into another interview. Mm-hmm. I did that for 3 months. 3 months I did that when I launched my podcast because I had to get my first 2 seasons out. Mm-hmm. Then after I would edit at 10 o'clock, I would spend an hour editing those podcasts, uploading them, making the social media, making the content, the copy for the episodes, getting everything ready, setting it up for the launch that was happening in December. And it was killing me. Like my parents were like, Phil, are you okay? Bags under here because I was going to bed at 11, sometimes 11, 12 at night, 1 o'clock sometimes, waking up at 6 to start my day job because I have my morning routine. Go for my walk, get my hot chocolate or my coffee, come back, do a mini workout, go straight into work because we're working at home. And I would go into my spare bedroom, do my work, deal with clients all day that I don't really want to deal with. The people that like, why are you yelling at me? I'm trying to save you, and you're mad at me. And you just realize that they're angry because there's something wrong in their life. You get up, you walk away. I would get up, wipe my face down, get my shirt on, podcast. Next day, do the same thing. I did that for like 3 weeks because I needed to record 2 seasons. I wanted those 2 seasons ready to roll out so that I could breathe. I can build my business side. But at the same time I was building my podcast, I was also building my business on the weekends. My Saturdays and Sundays, they weren't mine. They were my businesses. I was getting things ready, organized. What is the process to grow a podcast? What do you need? Getting all that through. And then in March, I signed my first client, and I just went off from there. Steady roll. I have a book that people can order off my you can email me, book@feelbetterinc.com. You get a book on how to start a podcast with some tips from me on monetization. I have 2 more books in the work: how to be a great guest on a podcast and monetize that opportunity, but also how to be a great host. Because secretly inside you're a 3-year-old child on Christmas when you hear that. Specifically for me, because like this is my life, like I feel like I'm Oprah. I feel like I'm like Larry King when I hear that from someone. Mm-hmm. So I have that coming out, and then just don't quit. There's too much in this world. The internet. Look. I never I grew up when the internet first started, and look, the internet can show you how you can make money either through affiliate marketing, either through sponsorship, through podcasting, through anything. You can find out how to make money because people are doing it. Just go to YouTube University.
That's true.
And just go make money online, and then you'll get a billion different ways. You can make an agency for helping local businesses use their my Google My Business. You can make money off Google My Business because there's not a lot of small businesses that aren't using Google My Business. And that's a great way of building up businesses. Don't go after the big ones. Go after your local mom and pops. Get $5, $10 a month from them. And then take that money and invest it in stocks. And when I say stocks, I don't mean, like AMC, GameStop. No, I'm talking about blue chip.
Walmart, yeah.
Companies that actually have like a good lineage of winning. If you don't know how to pick a stock, go to an ETF, exchange fund traded, whatever. I don't know. Exchange traded funds. There we go. Yeah. You think if I have a stock show, I don't stop.
No, you're right. With a higher dividend yield, and it makes it passive income.
There you go. Just that's how Lloyd did it. And he's a millionaire now. He has $1 million portfolio. So you take that like $5, $10, you just throw it into there. And then you can go, and then you can offer more services because Google actually will teach you how to sell their services. So don't quit. Start a small business. Find what are you passionate about and see how you can make money off of it. Etsy. The internet is amazing. It's a game changer. And if you're thinking you want to quit, give up, you're not. Why did you start? Why did you start? And we ended with that. I appreciate my guest. Why did you start? That is a nail clip right there. Phil has been amazing. Phil, where can they connect with you? They say, I haven't heard of you before. I want to follow the podcast Mogul. I know you listed about 1,000 different things and podcasts that you have out there. But if they want to connect with you on social media, where do they find you? Instagram, podcaster Phil Better. Answer and send you a link for a free 30-minute call that you get to ask me anything you want about podcasting or how your podcasting can help your business grow. Because it's already making one of my clients close to 6 figures. So shouldn't it make you 6 figures?
Connect with Phil. Hit him up on Instagram at Podcasting Phil Better. That's call to action. If you want to keep seeing great content, you got to do 2 things. And I reiterated them at the beginning of the show, but I'm going to reiterate them now here. Connect with me on Instagram at CVMK33 and on YouTube at CV. That is Cody Vernon Kelly, CV space K, where all your great content here. And I always say this. Following people is free. It costs you nothing. It literally, you don't pay for anything. It doesn't bill you, and it only adds value to your life. I appreciate
Give me 1 second. Hold on. I'm going to change something. Jumping on Cody. Okay, hold on. Get on my podcaster Phil Better. Where's the search function? I haven't done this in a while. So it's
CVMK 33. Yep.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, boom, just followed. Boom.
That's it.
Followed.
I appreciate it.
If I can follow him, you can. Look how quick that took less than like 5 seconds, guys. That's how much it is.
let me not pull a Kanye West and show my password, but let me follow him back.
There we go.
Feel better. That's how you do it. Support gets supported.
There we go.
That's how
you also get my beautiful face. in my model-esque pose, kind of pulling the James Bond over my shoulder here, trying to be James Bond in my profile pictures.
You're good, man. Look, connect with Phil. He's amazing. He is changing the game. He has been consistent, and he has built something that has long-term sustainability. And that's the S word that you need to take with yourself today. Sustainability. Not the Bitcoin of podcast, and you'll be outdated in a year, but something that 10 years from now, we'll actually know who you are. Until next time, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks. Hey, what's up, everybody? You like what you saw? Were you entertained? Were you informed? We want to keep seeing amazing content. Subscribe at the link below. YouTube, CV Space K. You connect where all podcasts are streaming. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. Connect with me. I want to connect with you. Let's enjoy the ride.